Higher education is a must if one is to achieve in their chosen career path. Unlike in the past, where there were very few options in as far as higher education was concerned, now there are several openings for university education, and Unicaf University is one of them. Well, in this week's edition of MBC Exclusive, we speak to Vice Chancellor of Unicaf, Dr. Robert Ridley. I'm Kumbukani Piri. Thanks for joining us. Dr. Robert Ridley, it's good to have you in MBC Exclusive.
Thank you very much.
Well, we hear a lot about Unicaf University. Maybe as a way of introduction, what is Unicaf University? Is it an acronym or?
Well, it's a young university. It's just been operating in Malawi since 2015, 2016. The name Unicaf actually has two components. The project originated in Cyprus with people based in the University of Nicosia, which is a private university in Cyprus. And they set up and established an organisation called Unicaf to provide online services. And so it's the Unicaf is University of Nicosia, and then the AF for Africa. So Malawi was the first university established in Africa under this operation. There's a second university operating also in Zambia. What makes Unicaf special is that it's an online university and also its international nature. So by being an online university, what that means is that students can study with the university no matter where they are in the country. Whether in Sanji to Chitipa, they can access online material and teaching through the internet, through their computer. So they can access their lecture notes, they can access videos, they can access library books, and also have access to tutors and students in what we call a virtual classroom. Many of the people, so it suits people that may be working or for one reason or another find it difficult to leave their home and travel to another city. So it's a new way of studying. It's gaining in popularity across the world, and we're the first of those operating in Malawi. Because it's based through the web, it can also be international. So 2/3 of our students are actually from outside Malawi, 1/3 from inside Malawi. And I've mentioned already, there's a campus, a university also in Zambia, and there are plans to establish other universities in other countries in Africa. So to have if you like, a network of universities that will be able to support each other as we move forward.
Well, apart from being mostly an online university, what do you pride yourself for at Unicaf?
I think we pride ourselves on the quality of the online teaching that we provide. Many people are uncertain about what online education is really about. They're used to face-to-face teaching and being based on a campus. The process that you go through with an online degree at Unicaf, it's very structured. You have regular tuition and contact with a tutor. So even though it's online, you're actually in regular contact with your tutor. You can contact that tutor with a short email at any stage, any day, and get a response. So in many ways, there's more teacher-student contact in our online system than many face-to-face systems have.
Now, since you're talking about online education, and most people in the Malawian context are used to the face-to-face delivery of education, how do people trust you? How do you build that trust?
Well, I think first the first thing is, I think, to develop a reputation for quality through the students that we have. So we are developing a reputation for quality, and then once the students are enrolled and engaged, I think they find the experience worthwhile, straightforward. They are free to study at any time of day, at the weekend. They can access material, they can download it onto their computer and study offline. And we have both, I mentioned that we have international students, we also have a blend of international tutors. So we have high quality tutors providing the tuition. 60% of our tutors have PhDs. And so I think with that background, we seek to earn the trust of the students that we serve. So
maybe just want to know what's on offer at Unicaf.
Okay.
What are you offering?
We're offering degree programs at bachelor level, at master's degree level, and also at doctorate level. I mentioned that many of our students are professionals who are working, who maybe wouldn't be able to study for a degree normally. They wouldn't be able to take time off their work, or others may not be able to take time off for their family. So we actually have about half of our students are postgraduate students. We've got a couple of hundred doctoral students, and also about half doing a bachelor degree. The degree programs spread around primarily business and finance, accounting. We're accredited by the Malawi Accountants Board. Also in education and ICT, organisational psychology.
Now, one of the issues that has dogged the higher education sector in Malawi is that when it comes to rankings, our universities here have not been well ranked. How do you look at that? Do you think ranking is important, and where do you see yourselves?
It's, I think, important to aspire to achieve some sort of ranking globally. It's very difficult to get on these top 100 lists and so on and so forth. It's very competitive. As a young university, we are not assigned a rank yet. You have to be operational for a number of years to get onto these official ranking lists. So it's an important aspiration. Some people will say that it's overrated, but I think it's a useful guide. Maybe what's needed in Malawi and Africa are sort of rankings that really just focus on the local context and the local environment, and that you gain experience and expertise and credit locally and regionally before trying to reach the heights of international recognition.
So what you're saying then is that it's good that the rankings should not be ranked on international level, that it should be in, for instance, the African context?
I think if you can, when universities are ranked in Malawi, or when news of universities' rankings come out, they tend to be ranked within the African context anyway. There's very little chance of you being in the top 1,000 universities in the world if you're operating from a low-income country like Malawi. You have hundreds of universities in the US, in Europe, in China and Asia. So it's always good to, I think, look at these rankings in the context of the country and the region that you're operating in.
Okay, now let's talk about research, because we know that research informs a lot of academic work and and how an institution can be ranked. How are you doing in terms of research at Unicaf?
Well, as I said, we have a couple of hundred PhD students, so research is started at Unicaf. None of those students have yet graduated, so we're not in the position yet to have a large number of publications, although some of our students are starting to publish. The the way you get into doctoral research at Unicaf is, first of all, you have to qualify, you have to have a master's degree, and then the doctoral program lasts 3 to 4 years. The first part of that is coursework that prepares the student for the research. So it allows the student to explore and discuss with the supervisors about what sort of research topic they want to take, how that topic might be designed, introduces them to research methodology, and then once they've gone through that phase, and as part of that process also at Unicaf, a unique aspect is that we have a module on leadership. We think that most people doing research for a doctorate are either aspiring to leadership positions or they may already be in leadership positions. So we found it quite popular with employers and with the students that we incorporate leadership training into our research training. Once they're ready, they then their research program passes a committee, and then they proceed with the research. And again, the research process that we undertake, it's quite structured. Because our students are at a distance, we have to structure monthly meetings between them and their supervisor. We don't sort of just let the student loose for a year and then expect him to come back or her to come back. So we have a structured process whereby we make sure that their research plan is appropriate. We then make sure that they carry out that research plan properly. We make sure that they are writing up the material properly. So it's reviewed at several phases to make sure that the quality of the mentoring is adequate. We make sure that the tutor and the supervisor and the student do meet. We make sure that the documents that the student needs to produce are produced on time so that the student graduates. You have some cases in some universities where a master's project or a doctoral project may go on for many years, and the student may be hanging on for many years. We have a system whereby we try and make sure that the quality of tuition and research is done in such a way that the student, if the student is capable, the student completes the research on time.
I wanted to find out the relationship that you have with other institutions of higher learning in Malawi, the partnerships and international ones as well.
Yeah. Well, I think since the creation of NCHE, there's been more coordination and opportunity for Malawian universities to meet and interact at levels of policy and potential collaboration. So if there are any issues or discussions around upcoming higher education policy, they include public and private universities. We participate. There's an association of private universities of Malawi in which we are engaged, and that is increasingly also playing a role within the higher education system in Malawi. There's an Open and Distance and E-Learning Association of Malawi, which we're on the board of that. And there's another organisation just starting up called Association of Universities and Colleges Association of Malawi, UCAM, which is another body that is trying to, if you like, combine public and private together so that public and private aren't necessarily seen as separate, but they're operating together for the interests of higher education. And then as we're developing and growing again, and NCHE led to some extent, we have to compare ourselves and do a comparison of our programs with other programs. So that encourages sharing of information between universities, and many universities helped us on our road to accreditation. And more recently, with the COVID pandemic, we've had a number of universities interested to learn more about online education. So we've had a number of universities visiting us, and we've been sort of giving them some hints about the basics of how to set up and establish online education. So I think within a short space of time, Unicaf has now started to be seen as, if you like, part of the scenery. And particularly as we participate, I think, more in the area of research, there'll be research collaborations. We're exploring some consultancy work at the moment, and that would involve collaborations also with civil society. So in that way, we're sort of, if you like, breaking into the academic environment of Malawi, and we'd like to be seen as a good partner within Malawi for those interactions. Internationally, I mentioned there's a Unicaf University in Zambia, and there's going to be others in Uganda and Zimbabwe. So we are in contact with them, and we can share our expertise. Some of us at the university are also involved with African-wide activities and initiatives. And Unicaf, the Unicaf platform is also utilised by several UK universities, and also US University, California, Riverside. So our system is being utilised not just by Unicaf University in Malawi and Zambia, but it's also being shown to be of a good enough quality and standard to be utilised in several UK universities and US universities as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, now since you graduated your first cohort in 2017, how would you say that your graduates are faring on the job market?
Yeah, so as you said, we've graduated our first cohort in May, 350 master's students from 50 countries, and about a third of those from Malawi. Our first impression, it's only been a few months, so we have anecdotal evidence. We haven't had time to do a full survey yet. But from the students that we've contacted, they're very pleased with their situation. Several have indicated that they have had, their situation has improved. And most of them have a strong belief that having the qualification, the Unicaf qualification, will assist them in the future. But it's a bit too early to say exactly how well they're faring. But so far, the information we're getting back is very positive.
Is Unicaf accredited by the National Council of Higher Education?
Yes, we're accredited. There's a two-step process in Malawi for accreditation. You first have to register, then you have to operate for several years, and then after several years you get assessed again for accreditation. So we received accreditation in April of this year. Because we have an international range of students, we've also sought international accreditation, so we're also accredited by the British Accreditation Council.
Mm-hmm. Finally, I'd like to get your thoughts on the future of higher education in Malawi.
Higher education in Malawi, as elsewhere in Africa, is going through a rapid expansion. Malawi is behind the curve globally and even within Africa. We have one of the lowest rates in the world of percentage of population in higher education, so we have a lot to do. In the last 10 years, I think certain organisations, the African Development Bank, World Bank, have seen the importance of higher education as well as primary and secondary education. So there has been an injection of support and loans from the World Bank for higher education, which is assisting. We're also seeing an expansion of private universities. There's now 16 private universities accredited within CHE. That is allowing the number of places to expand. As we go forward, as well as just expanding the numbers in undergraduate programs, though, we also need to be focusing more on research. And for that reason, we need to be expanding the number of postgraduate programs we have. And we think that Unicaf can play a role there because it has such a large number of students that are doing postgraduate programs and PhD programs. So it's there's a long way to go, but I think over the last 5 to 10 years, you've seen it starting to move in the right direction. And I think with the appropriate stimulus, both nationally and internationally, we can do well. Malawian students, when they go abroad and study in other countries, they excel. So the capacity is there. If you look in young students graduates coming out of Malawian universities and setting up businesses, particularly in IT, or setting up NGOs, or you have these civil society organisations, social entrepreneurship organisations. There's a lot of energy out there, a lot of good things being done. So the opportunity is there. If we can, we have to work together. We have to start collaborating more with each other inside Malawi, rather than thinking all the time that you have to collaborate with London or Dundee or the US. We have to start generating our own research, our own programs to solve our own problems.
Dr. Robert Ridley, it was very nice having you in the program. Appreciate it.
Thank you.